What's up, guys? It's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Saturday, May 3rd, and we're going to take a look at some evening picks. It's already 3 in the afternoon, so I'd missed some of the earlier games. My kids had soccer, so I was running around like crazy. But as always, let's go ahead and get started. When you open up the MLB cheat sheet, give it a second. Down here in the corner, you're going to notice that it's updating the lineups, and so we're going to flip down here and take a look at all of the later games. There were a few people that I liked at the 3 o'clock games that I got a couple of hits allowed bets on. For example, Bailey Ober was sitting here. He's allowed 8-8-5-5 in the last 4 going up against Boston. Jordan Hicks, 7-8-6-8-6. So averaging 7 hits allowed a game, and I think he could have got 4.5. And there was a couple others, but let's go ahead and take a look. So these are the later games down here that I want to take a look at. So as always, if you're doing sports betting, I go down here to the betting board and I kind of scan this to get an idea of the games that I want to look at. And then we're going to go over here on the main tab and we're going to break some down. You will notice I did post some picks today, so those are the ones we're going to kind of run through. So flipping down here, Cincinnati was one of the games that really jumped out at me. And you could get the run line at plus 105. The worry here is the bullpen's not real good, but they have an edge in power ranking. They're playing at home. They're 7-3 over the last 10. So that's a game we just kind of want to take a look at that jumps out at me. Also, these pitchers, we have a vast difference in hits per innings pitched. We have 1.04 versus 0.64. So that's something we want to take a look at. The other one I really like is Seattle over Texas. Here in the power ranking, you can see it's number 1 versus number 23. Texas also does not have a good bullpen, so these two numbers tell me Texas is struggling, bullpen's not doing well, which also correlates and shows this 2-8 record over the last 10. And then you've got Seattle, who's number 1 in our power rankings, so they've been on a good run, which we can see 8-2 over the last 10, and the 17th bullpen, so about average. ATS-wise, they're doing pretty good. They're a big over team. They're 18-13 on the run line. And when I'm looking at this, Vegas has them as a slight favorite. So really, if the pitchers are decent, Seattle should be a much bigger favorite in my opinion, which you can see on our model. We've got it 6.1 to 4, so we've got about a 9% edge. So Seattle's the other game we want to take a look at. Looking at the pitchers, we have Castillo versus Corbin. Hits per innings pitched advantage for Castillo. Castillo hasn't been great over the years, but again, it's one we want to take a look at. Going down here, Chicago, Milwaukee. I also like the Cubs. I was shocked when I looked at this right here. They opened the Cubs as a dog. So it's going to be anywhere from minus 105 to plus 110 on the Cubs, depending on when you get it. And you can see our model here, we have the Cubs a 1-run favorite, 5-4, so a 55% chance. So where you're getting this 7% advantage is Vegas has them at 48% to win. We have them at 55%, so we have a 7% edge on the Cubs. But just glancing at this, we can see power rankings 7 versus 20, bullpen 5 versus 25. This is also really good if you're doing live betting. So let's say Milwaukee gets up 2 runs, but their starting pitcher gets, let's say he gets to 60-70 pitches. Well, we know that bullpen's going to come in. They're likely going to struggle, and it gives us some live betting opportunities. As far as the pitchers, hits per innings pitched, pretty close, 0.68, 0.77. Those are both good. I'm not going to look at that. But what people are going to notice here, like if you ever look at ESPN or anything like that, they're going to see 4-0, ERA 1.14 versus 1-1, ERA 4.01. They're going to be like, oh my God, you got to bet Milwaukee. However, your XFIP, this is a better indicator of what your ERA should be. So always look at the XFIP. So ERA is what's going to show, but like ESPN and all these other sites, they're not going to show you the XFIP. You actually have to go look that up. So looking at the XFIP, to me, these pitchers are the same, a 3.95, a 4.31. I'm not going to say Taillon's better, but I'm going to say, he's in that ballpark. Whip's the same. So I'm going to say these two pitchers would be equivalent, and what everybody sees here on the ERA is going to be false. Now, when we look at their last 5 starts, earned runs, Quintana's allowed 1-1-1-0 and 1-1-2-3-2. So pretty close. Hits, pretty close. So we can see this XFIP is pretty close to kind of what both pitchers have been doing. So this is a game we also want to take a look at. KC Baltimore. I did not write this one up. We have a power play on KC. That just means there's a large power gap. So Baltimore 27th in our power ranking, 26th bullpen, and Kansas City's actually doing really well. They were, I think, 9-1 before their loss last night, so 8-8. I live in Kansas City. I'm a big Chiefs fan and a Royals fan, so I typically don't dabble in these a whole lot. But you can see run line, both teams are less than 50%, nothing great. Pitchers, they're close, 0.87, 0.93 on your hits. XFIP, slight lean to Bubich, however you say that. But again, not one I really wanted to play. Dodgers are the next game that I liked. I was shocked when I saw this. That means the Dodgers opened up as a dog. I think they were minus 105 when I posted it. What I have? Plus 100 on the money line, and run line was plus 160. And you can see here we've got 55% on the Dodgers, plus 7%. And there's three things you want to look at. You want to look at the team's power rankings. That's how they're doing. You want to look at their bullpen, and then you want to look at the starting pitchers. If you get an advantage in all three across the board, that's a game that I like to play. But if it's minus 250, of course, that is why they are at the advantage. So if we're looking at something like this, so we have a slightly better power ranking, but both teams are good. I'm not going to knock Atlanta. Bullpen, they're both within 5, not bad. Pitchers, to me, 0.7, 0.92. You know, these are equivalent. XFIP should jump out at you. Schwellenbach, or however you say his name, he's got a really good XFIP, so you could say he's been a little unlucky. And then you could say Sasaki, he's been lucky because his ERA is lower than the XFIP. But anyways, a game we're going to take a look at. The other game I like is Detroit. Now, Detroit's minus 198, so you got to go to the run line and lay the run. And then I think you can get it at like minus 115 is what I got it at. Number 2 power ranking, number 1 bullpen versus number 30 power ranking and number 29 bullpen. That should be pretty obvious to you. Last 10 also reflects the ranking, 7-3 versus 1-9. Detroit's great on the run line, 21-12, 64%. So I don't mind putting a unit on that. We have a huge advantage here. So Vegas has them at 56%. We got them at 66%. So that gives us a 10% edge. And we have a projected score of 5.7 to 2.9. Vegas has 4.5 to 3.5. So we've got a little edge there. Looking at the pitchers, we're going to dive into this a little deeper, but 0.77, 0.87, pretty close. But if you notice over here on the earned runs for Hendricks, 7, 3, and 5 over the last 3 games, that kind of jumps out at me. But Jack did give up 4, 2, 3 over the last 3. Hits are both about the same. So again, that's a game we're going to take a look at. So once we've earmarked the games that we like, we're going to go over here to the main tab. As always, click inside this home team. A little carrot drop down is going to come up, and then we're going to go through and we're going to start flipping down our games. That one already started. I think Cincinnati was the first one we looked at. So first thing I'm looking at up here is just the last 10 games. How have these teams been doing? So Cincinnati's one that we did like, and they are run line plus 105. So slight money on the run line. And I don't mind it. Look, they won by 5, they won by 8, they won by 2, they won by 7, they won by 2. So they're doing pretty good. Yeah, they lost a couple of games, which that's common. Power ranking, we got number 5 versus number 15. Okay, edge to Cincinnati. Bullpen stats we want to take a look at. Both of them are about the same on their ranking, but what you notice is Washington has a 7.05 ERA, 4.5 xFIP, and a 1.54 WHIP. Now, their xFIP's really close, so their ranking's going to be closer because ERA is not indicative of what they're actually doing. xFIP is, but you can see the WHIP, 1.54 is really bad. So that means the bullpen's putting a lot of players on base. But anyways, flipping on down here, taking a look at the one thing that did jump out at me is Washington. Not great on the hitting side. We got 200, 182, 146. Nothing really scary in the lineup. Cincinnati's doing much better. Got 281 on the leadoff hitter over the last 2 weeks. And look at this. 313, 359, 360, 295, and then 303 in the 8-hole. Now, this lineup is not confirmed, and you can tell this will turn green and say yes once it is. So save this sheet to your desktop and then open it up, let it run for 30 seconds, and save it again, and it will update these lineups. So Cincinnati's doing really well. Looking at these pitchers, we got Lodolo, who's a big K pitcher. There's not a lot of stats this year, so you'll notice I brought in the last year stats so we can take a look at it. So last year, he allowed a 231 average over 115 innings. That is pretty good. Now, he wasn't as good at home, so that's a little bit of a red flag. You can see his whip jumped up, his K9 dropped, and his batting average went up, so that's something to keep an eye on. And then Trevor Williams last year allowed a 211, but this year he's allowing a 296 through 30 innings. And then on the road, he's even allowing a 339 with a 1.7 whip. So that's a little bit alarming. Come down here and we can see the actual individual game stats. And so what I'm looking at across here are earned runs allowed. So Lodolo 0.34002, pretty decent. Hits allowed 2.75345. 3.45. So 5 is about average. Anything above 5 isn't really good. Anything below 5 is really good. So he's got a few really good starts here. And then you look at this one, 5 hits, 4 runs. That was against Seattle, who's ranked number 1 right now. And then the average team he's faced has a power ranking of 15.8. So he's doing pretty decent. I'm going to give him a shot here. Cincinnati, they're going to face Trevor Williams. He's got pretty much a similar power ranking on the opponents he's faced, but 5, 6, 3, 8, 5, and 10 hits. And then his earned runs haven't been too bad. He's coming off 5 hits, 5 runs, but prior to that, only a run, and then 6.33. So I'd say these pitchers are equal. Worst case scenario, bullpens are pretty equal. And then Cincinnati's at home, and they've got the better team right now. You can see here, home versus road, Washington is a huge drop-off. Sorry, I thought it started raining. Huge drop-off on the road. They got a WRC plus, and like I always say in all my videos, if you don't like stats, just look at WRC plus. 100 is average, so if it's above 100, that is good. If it's below 100, that is bad. So 115 at home, slightly better than average. On the road, they dropped to 71. Now, if you want to get into stats, you can look at their ISO power. It goes from 188 to 105. And then WOBA drops, and then also their batting average drops from 265 at home to 207 on the road. So you could say Washington semi-sucks on the road. So we're going to go after him here. You can look at the same thing. The one thing that does jump out at me looking at this is Cincinnati at home hasn't been that great. They've got a WRC plus of 73 and 120 on the road, but they have a 9-8, 9-7 record. So something to kind of keep an eye on. But again, Cincinnati's one we like. So you get an idea of what I'm looking at on these games. So let's kind of flip through these so I can get through some and get this thing posted. The game I like the most is Seattle. I was shocked it was minus 135 when I bet it, and the run line's even plus 125. So when you get a money line and a run line that's that close together, there's a good indication that that run line's probably going to hit. So just looking at this, you can see Seattle, they've been doing great. 5-0 run. Look at these wins. 13-1, 9-3, 5-3, 7-6, 14-0. They're doing good. Texas, they've been getting freaking destroyed. They ranked 26th in our power rankings. Their K rate's 26th highest. WRC plus of 82, which ranks 26th. Not real great. 20, 22, 22 in home runs, RBIs, ISO power. And look at this. They scored 1 run, 0 runs, 1 run. They exploded there for 15, and then 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2. So not really scary right now. Looking at the bullpen, edge to Seattle, 3.74 versus 4.34. And then if we look at the xFIP, they're about a run better, 4.03 versus 4.87. So slight edge there. Castillo and Corbin, we're going to take a look at those two when we get down here a little bit more. And then look at the lineups real quick. So you can kind of see here, Seattle, the top 5 have been doing really good. And then this is kind of like crickets. So your 3 through 7 hitters are batting 189, 208, 256, 217, 196. Not real scary. And then their number 4 guy, Jock Peterson, has an ISO power versus pitcher hand of .066. So that's a WRC plus of -4. I don't know if I've ever seen that. That's hilarious. Coming down here, Patrick Corbin, he's a lefty. Last year allowed a 294 average over 174 innings. That is not good if you're not good at baseball stats. This year, he's continuing the same. 19 innings, he's allowing a 308. Bullpen behind him ranks 24th. So we should be able to score some runs. One of the things I like to do on DK is take team total. So you could take Seattle, 3+ runs, 4+ runs, 5+ runs, 6+ runs, whatever you want to do to really drive up that payout. And then Corbin, 7.755, so 14 hits in his last two. I also noticed he hasn't made it to the 6th inning yet. So his first start, he went 4 innings, and then 5.1, 5, and 5.2. But he's only given up a couple of runs, so that tells me they're going to pull him out before he gets in trouble. Walks, I always look at these. He's not bad. 1 to 2 a game is fine. The other thing I noticed was that so Seattle... Okay, yeah, it wasn't Seattle. And then over here, Castillo, he's pretty decent. Last year, 175.1 innings, allowed a 237 average. This year, he's only allowing a 244. On the road, it's only 9 innings, but he has been allowing a 386 with a 267 whip. So the net tells me these 2 games, he got destroyed, and he did. So he went on the road against Cincinnati, Toronto, gave up a combined 17 hits, 9 runs. So yes, that is a red flag. But, we're talking about betting a unit. We're not talking about putting Chris's mortgage on this. So I still like it because all these other starts he's done really well. 5 hits, no runs, 1 hit, no run. So he's been really good at home, not as good on the road. So if we look last year at home versus road, he had 78.1 road innings and allowed a 241, which is just above his 237. So I'm going to say it's just a blip on the radar. We're going to go ahead and back Castillo in Seattle here. And you can go either way. -135 on the money line or take the run line at +125. I'm probably going to have it bet both ways with some NBA stuff, one way or another. Coming down here, Milwaukee, Chicago, I was shocked the Cubs opened as a dog. I think they're -105 now. Run line's +150. And I think that's a very fair line. You can see here, look at the Cubs' recent wins. 10-0, 8-3, 9-0. So we could say, hey, if they're going to blow up and win the game, they're going to win it by the run line. So let's go ahead and take a shot at the run line. Milwaukee, not real good. You can see here they're 3-6 over the last 9 games. So these 3 wins we look at, it's the Chicago White Sox, and the Cardinals. Not that impressive to me. Power ranking, we got 19 versus 6, edge to the Cubs. Just looking at the lineups here, Milwaukee doesn't look terrible in here. They're decent, but look at the Cubs. They look red hot. So all these highlighted numbers are top 25 or I have something highlighted if they meet a certain threshold, but Suzuki, he's on absolute fire right now. Tucker's got 8 RBIs. Pete Crow Armstrong, I picked this guy up in fantasy because I needed a first baseman that would steal bases, and he's absolutely killing it right now. Dansby's batting 8, and he's hitting 302 out of the 8 spot. That's pretty good. Milwaukee's decent. Looking at the pitchers, Quintana. Okay, this is the one I was looking at. So Quintana is a lefty, and then last year he allowed a 233 average. This year he's allowing a 224, so pretty good. But what jumps out is this bullpen. So if you're live betting, what's really good is looking at the bullpens and watching the pitch counts of the starting pitchers, but we'll go over that more later. So Quintana, he's pretty decent. He's allowed 5, 6, 4, 4 hits, not more than a run in any start, but look at his walks in the last 3. 3 walks, 2 walks, 3 walks. So he could give up some runs in this game. He might be in trouble. And if he does throw well, then this bullpen ranks 25th with an ERA of almost 5, so I'm not real worried about that. And the other thing that jumps out at me was, oh, look at this. So this is your lefty-righty split. So the Cubs versus righties and versus lefty, Quintana's a lefty, their batting average goes from 259 to 287, 343 on the WOBA to 378. ISO power jumps WRC plus, like we said, if it's over 100, it's good. Goes from 121 up to 143. And what's most impressive, look at the strikeout rate. 20.9, which is really good. 15.9 is microscopic versus anyone. So versus a lefty, they're slightly better. So I really like that. And if you want to see how they do home versus road, I'm basically just looking to make sure they're not trash on the road, really good at home, making sure they're somewhat decent. 9-5, 11-6. Not too worried about it. They are actually better on the road. So far, now we don't have a ton of games, but 250 to 280 on the batting average. Their WOBA jumps, their ISO really jumps 151 to 233. WRC plus 114 to 136. So you could say the Cubs are better on the road and they are better versus left-handed pitching. And you can get them at even money or a run line at plus 150. Now, Milwaukee at home, they have a WRC plus of 85. And then versus a righty, they're average 100, so nothing really jumps out there. Quintana, we looked at that. We got the bullpen. Tyon, we have a solid bullpen behind him. ERA of 2.27, whip of 0.92. Ranks 5th for us. That is really good. Last year, he allowed a 240 average. This year, he's allowing a 231. And then in his starts, let's see, the first start we'll throw out. Everybody gets kind of a gimme in the beginning, but 5.33, 5.4 hits allowed, and then 1.1232 for earned runs. Doesn't really walk a ton, 1 to 2 a game. Didn't have any in his last. So he's doing really good. So I would give the starting edge, or I'd say these pitchers are equal, to say the least. I mean, their hits per innings pitched is pretty close. So yeah, I like the Cubs there, and I don't even mind laying the run line because that bullpen could really blow it for them. Coming down here, Baltimore, KC, I'll hit this real quick. Line's pretty close. You can see here, KC opened up as a slight dog. We got them as a slight favorite. Their bullpen's picking up. That's the biggest difference here, but you can see the XFIP's a little closer. But I'm not going to dive into this game a whole lot. Flipping down here to Atlanta. I like the Dodgers. I mean, they opened up as a dog, 4.1 to 4.4. Our model has it 5.4 to 4.4. So we have a little 7% edge. Both bullpens are decent. Both pitchers here on the hits per innings pitched, they're decent. The Dodgers are on the road, and notice they are only 5-7, and their WRC plus drops off from 145 to 91. But it's the Dodgers. I'm not going to hold that against them. They've also won their last 6 games, and then Atlanta, they've been decent. So power ranking wise, we got 9 versus 2. And then I just prefer the Dodger lineup. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, and look at Andy Pages, man. 18 for 39, batting 462 over the last 2 weeks with 9 runs, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and 18 hits. And if you're playing DFS at 3,500, okay, yes, please give me some of that. Atlanta's been good too. I'm not going to knock their lineup. I mean, this should be a good game. If the Dodgers were a minus 140, I would stay away from it. But them as a dog, yeah, I'll go ahead and take a shot at that, or even money. Schwellenbach and then Sasaki. Both of these pitchers, you could go either way. There's nothing here that really jumps out at me. Schellenbach, 7.867, so he's allowed an average of about 7 hits a game over his last 4 starts. Couple earned runs each game. Doesn't really walk a lot of people. Dodgers could get to him. He's not elite, so I'm not worried about him coming out and shutting him down. The one worry with Schellenbach is right here. 2, 3, 2, 2, 4, 5. So in his first two starts, he walked 9 batters and only threw 3 innings and 2.2 innings. So 9 batters and 5.2 innings. That is fucking scary. But you come over here and he got better. He went 4 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings, and 6.2. So each start he's got a little better, and he's only allowed 3, 4, 2, and 5 earned runs, or hits, and then his earned runs 1, 1, 2, 3. That's pretty decent. His walks he got down to about 2 a game. This one he did pop off at 3, so he's decent, and a decent bullpen behind him. So I don't mind giving him a shot there. And I think that was our last play. Let me see. Oh no, Detroit. That is the last play that we have. So real quick, just looking at this, look, Detroit, they're doing really good. They've won 7 of 9 games, and then 9-1, 10-4, 7-4, 7-0, 6-2. They're killing the run line. Just go ahead and lay the run line on this one. I think run line was minus 115 when I bet it a few minutes ago. Bullpen, this should jump right out at you. Even if you don't look at stats, just look at rankings. Number 1 versus number 29. That tells you all you need to know. And then the Angels, look at that. They've lost 7 games in a row. And I always look to see, are they losing like 1-run games? Is it 3-2, 5-4? But look at this, 9-1, 10-4, 9-3, 5-3, 5-0, 5-1, 11-4. They're getting freaking asses handed to them. power ranking wise, they're 28. They're almost dead last in batting average at 188 as a team. Their strikeout rate's near 30%, 29.2. Their WRC plus is 60. I mean, this stuff is just comical. So average strikeout rate and WRC plus, 30th, 29th. Not really worried about them. I will take the run line. There's no reason to lay the minus 198 or 200 on the money line. Lay the run line. If it's a one-run game, chalk it up as a loss. Say, hey, give them credit for that. No one really scary in the lineup. There are 2 hitters batting 121. There are 3 hitters batting 079. 4 hitters batting 186. And then we got a 111. We got an 067 in here. I mean, there's nothing scary about that. We got some low hitters here in the Detroit, but this is not confirmed, so keep an eye on it. But Riley Green in the 4 holes, killing it. Torkelson's doing well. Zachy Poo batting 386, so decent. You know, they're scraping together some runs. Looking at the pitchers, everybody know who he is. You know, he's their ace or was their ace. But he's got the #1 bullpen behind him. And look at this bullpen. 1.47 ERA, 1.00 whip. Just freaking lights out. He has struggled in his last couple starts. So in 11 innings, he's gave up 11 hits, 6 runs. But, you know, he's much better than that. Last year in 162 innings, he allowed a 2.22 average and a 1.07 whip. That's fantastic. And this year in 32 innings, he's already at a 2.08 average. So he's decent. I'm not worried about him. Kyle Hendricks last year in 116 innings allowed a 2.88 average. This year he's only allowed a 2.38, so that's slightly better, but we know who he is. A 1.50 whip and a 2.88 average. And then looking at his recent starts, you know, he's been pretty decent. Well, I guess he's not going very long. I looked at this. 3 hits, 7 runs. That's because he walked 5 batters, and he only went 3 innings, so he got shelled there. 5 innings at home, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, a little less than average. And then 4 innings, 4 hits, 5. Okay, he sucks. He's just getting killed. He had 1 good start here. So I kind of glanced across here when I was writing the game up, and I'm like, okay, not bad. Whoops. So I glance across here. I look at the hits allowed. I look at the earned runs. I check the walks. But what I didn't do is look up here and see 3 innings, 5 innings, 4 innings. So he's really not, lasting a whole lot. So Detroit's the other one. And so just to go ahead and recap while we wrap up this video, this is typically what I post if I've got time to do some games. So we have my favorite 3 are Seattle over Texas. I like the Dodgers over Atlanta. I like Detroit run line over the Angels. And then I don't mind the Cubs, minus 105 or even taking a shot at this plus 150 run line. And then Cincinnati plus 105 on the run line over Washington. Why not? Mix and match these how you guys want. As always, let me know if you have any questions.